Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jerry with Dub Bears Talk, and today we're going to be talking about the 2024 Chicago Bears offensive season stats. So I'm going to go over every player, not every single player, but all the main players that you want to know about, and what my prediction are for their stats is this season. So obviously the big one's going to be Caleb Williams, but we'll go over DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and then I'm also going to go over why I think that based on previous seasons. So this is based on what we've seen from Shane Waldron's offense. That's actually a big part of it. I think he's going to try to bring over a similar offense, as well as just what Bears players, some of these Chargers players, and what they've done in their past seasons, and then looking also just at like rookies in general. With having a rookie passing season and a rookie receiving season in Rome Odunze. So before I get into it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And let's get right back into this. Caleb Williams, I have passing for 3,920 yards, 29 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and 62% completion percentage. I think is pretty fair. That's fairly close to how he was in college and comparable with a lot of rookie quarterbacks. If you compare those numbers to Geno Smith's last two seasons, this is a little bit of a mesh between Geno Smith's last two seasons, having a significantly worse completion percentage and more interceptions as well. This is actually kind of almost right in the middle. After I didn't mean to do that on purpose, but of his last two seasons, it's fairly comparable. Granted, Geno Smith did miss a few games last year, so that's why his stats were shyer. Now, I do recognize that this would be the rookie record for the Bears. This is actually a franchise record over 150 yards, or I think it's about 100 yards actually. That Caleb Williams would be breaking it by. I just think with the weapons in the offense, this is a very attainable goal. I think 13 interceptions is fair. 29 would also tie the touchdown record. I think it would be very exciting for him to break 4,000 his rookie year. I think it would be exciting to break 30. A Bears quarterback has never done either of those things. And when I was compiling all the stats together with what I think is going to happen, I got very close, but I wasn't going to be overzealous and go right into that. I don't want to expect that to happen because I don't think it's going to happen. Although you have a guy like C.J. Stroud who has a phenomenal rookie year last year, but I just, not that this is setting the bar low. Again, we're talking about franchise records here. But I just think that's how it's going to go. 60 carries, 426 yards. Also, fairly comparable to Geno Smith. It's just I don't think that we're going to see him in Caleb Williams in too many designed run scenarios. I think that he's just going to scramble. He is very quick, 4'5", 40 guy. So I think he's still going to be able to do it on the ground. And 60 carries for 426 for it's kind of similar to like a Mahomes. Not that, Caleb Williams is going to be like Mahomes, but as far as when he decides to run, I think that's comparable. So that's where I've got Caleb Williams. And then I put Rookie of the Year in the question mark because that really is going to be a contending stat line for Rookie of the Year, especially because it's consistently a quarterback award. With the surrounding cast of the Patriots they're actually favored to lose in they're dogs in every game, every single game. So not looking like a great season could come from Drake May, although he might not even start the season, which would also hurt him. Jaden Daniels definitely be a potential guy that could win this one, as well as Sam Darnold being named the starter for the Vikings. You're missing out on J.J. McCarthy there. So I think with this stat line, this would still be a great rookie quarterback stat line. Not the greatest of all times by any means, but I think with the weapons that Caleb Williams is surrounded with, a very reasonable set. So that's where I've got Caleb Williams. And now we're going to see why, and that's the receivers. Now, I do think a couple of these could be shuffled around a little bit. And my reason is I tried to do this assuming that there's not going to be injuries. And I have Keenan Allen. I'm kind of hedging my bet a little bit because I have Keenan Allen a little lower because I think from what I've heard in the offseason with Caleb Williams, Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze are like his best friend. Of course, he went to DJ Moore's camp and has been connecting with DJ Moore as well. The reason I have him as the favorite here is I just think that he really is going to show how well he's able to perform once he gets the ball in his hands. And I think that's going to result in a lot more yards, a lot more targets. If there's a lot more quicker timing plays, DJ Moore is going to be a guy you want to get the ball to, as well as Rome Odunze, and then even DeAndre Swift. So I think that is going to result in a lot of design plays to him because he is like a running back once he has the ball in his hands. And that's why I have him as the favorite. It also makes sense because of, again, Keenan Allen's injury history. I think if I were to pick somebody to get injured, I wouldn't pick anybody to get injured, but if you were to ask me who I think of this group could get injured, it would be Keenan Allen 100% of the time. He's just had injury problems in his career, and even if he does, I think he had a great season last year, especially for not playing every game. He still had 1,200 yards and was, I believe, top 10 in yards and everything. So he had a great season despite dealing with a little bit of injuries. I can't see him, being the number one target. I also see Rome Odunze. I feel like this is a low number for Odunze. And I also, especially if Keenan Allen gets injured, I think Odunze getting 48 receptions for 563 would be unlikely. I think you'd actually probably have to flip Odunze and Keenan Allen. And then that stat line, you kind of get similar to like Jordan Addison last year, where Justin Jefferson goes down and he just kind of fills in and does well. I think if Keenan Allen gets injured, you could very easily just flip those two stat lines. I like that there. If you look at Shane Waldron's offense last year too, also settles right around there at 1,100 yards for the top receiver in Metcalf. You got about 900 for Lockett. And then Jackson Smith-Njigba, who was a top wide receiver prospect the following year, had around 600 yards. So all of those kind of line up, and I honestly liked where they were at. Like I said, I would not be surprised if Rome Odunze climbs up that ladder. I also didn't want to give Caleb Williams like 4,500 passing yards. So it was very difficult to distribute the yards, especially because you've got Cole Kmet, who's been a very reliable top 10 for sure tight end in the league. Where are you going to get him his touches? 524 is where I had it at 6 touchdowns, a big target at 6'6". I think he could get those red zone targets. Obviously, we have DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Cole Kmet being the big touchdown guys here. I think you could also see Rome Odunze sneak loose. 3 touchdowns seems low for me too, but again, I'm putting this together, and you want to give all these star players these crazy yards and all these touchdowns, but you just have to find a way to disperse it. So Cole Kmet gets 6. Gerald Everett, I just threw him in there because Shane Waldron runs 2 tight ends more than pretty much any other offensive coordinator, and I thought it was of value to include him in there if he's going to be on the field. And then I just threw the rest of the team in there, which, again, that's also a low number for the rest of the team. I believe the Seahawks that year, now they did have a lot lower tight end play. I think they only had like 590 or 600 yards combined from the 2 tight ends. So obviously you get a little bit more here in my prediction. But 228 for 3 touchdowns. It's kind of an odd number too. I guess you could probably pull away some of those rest of the team touchdowns, give them to Odunze or wherever you like. I think Gerald Everett's going to be involved. I just don't think he's going to be a massive piece. But that's where I get the rest of those there. Again, a lot of this based off of stats from last year and Shane Waldron's offense. So moving on to the rushing, I've got DeAndre Swift. I was trying to figure out how to switch this up here, but I've got DeAndre Swift having 200 carries, 201 for 953 yards, 7 touchdowns. I really think that's because I think Khalil Herbert's going to be involved. There's actually been rumors that could be on the chopping block. This is per Adam Johns, which I don't really see why he would. I understand that you've signed DeAndre Swift, but I don't necessarily trust him to be the bell cow back. He did do a good job with the Eagles last year. Granted, that's behind one of the best offensive lines in football, and I am happy with the Bears' offensive line at this point. Could use a little work on the interior, and we'll have to see what they do with that. But Khalil Herbert's averaged 5 yards a carry and just done a good job at whatever he's needed to do. He's not this like super duper explosive like big playmaker, but he's always getting consistent yards. 2 years ago, he averaged 5 yards a carry, and then last year it was 4.6. And he just did well, and he's always had to be kind of a second piece. Last year to D'Onta Foreman, now he has to struggle with that again. it sounds like Roshan Johnson could get more opportunity too, especially if they're having doubts with Khalil Herbert. There's also talks of the Bears might want to trade him to try to acquire some value, while they can, if he's not in the plans for the future. Then you also give Roshan Johnson more opportunity. So that's why I threw rest of the team. That's the rest of the running backs is really what that should be. But I don't know, maybe they'll do some end arounds or something with some receivers. But I got 120 carries, 500 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, that's kind of going based on what the Bears offense has done in the past. Shane Waldron's offense. And then just statistically around there. And then I wanted to throw DeAndre Swift's receiving on this page. I guess probably could have put it on the other one, but 35 receptions, 389 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think that's just a fair place for him to be for me. I think he was kind of looked at as this, receiving back when he was in Detroit, and then he didn't do as much of that with the Eagles. But to me, he never quite panned out as this receiving back, and I don't really see I don't know why we can still say that. I think that he can have that as an element to his game, but I wouldn't look at him as a receiving back. I think he did a fine job last year. I'm interested to see how he's going to do this year. I think he takes a slight step back altogether. But that's going to be it. Let me know what you think. I do want to go over, so based on my numbers here, because I'm sure, Jason, if you're watching this video specifically, you'd probably be one to watch my Bears score predictions and season predictions for every single game, and you would have counted 43 touchdowns scored, and you'd go, Jerry, there's only 40 touchdowns scored in this video. Well, I didn't actually do the math when I was trying to figure that out, so I think you probably could squeak in another one, 2, or 3 touchdowns somewhere. Also, let's say maybe they get 2 defensive touchdowns, and maybe we get a kick return touchdown. So maybe that's where the remaining 3 touchdowns come from. But everything does line up, so there's no mistakes there. But let me know what you think down below. Do you agree with what I've got? Am I too high on Caleb Williams? Is he guaranteed? Is he going to get 4,000? I don't think so. But let me know what you think down below. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.